on a little bit of a lazy Sunday morning, but we are definitely going to move our body, move with our breath, reconnect things, put some pieces of our puzzle back together if they're disconnected. So in our child's pose, I know for me, first thing in the morning is pretty modified. It might take us a couple breaths, a few moments to get that low back to stretch out. So we don't force anything. We should be able to breathe smoothly and evenly through our nose the whole time. Widening child's pose will be a nice way to make some space for our belly, opening the knees a little wider than our hips. Drawing the big toes together. So what I mean by modifying, it might mean bringing a pillow or blanket behind our knees to help keep the hips more elevated. It might take us a moment to ease into it, so we're always welcome to rest on our forearms, stacking fists under the forehead. We will want our head to be supported. If you are able to extend your fingertips forward to the front corners of your yoga mat, feel free to add that extension and that lengthening through the arms and the shoulders, or be like me and be more supported and modified. Once we get into our position, if we need to make any adjustments in our surroundings, our clothing, or our body itself, please do so. We'll close our eyes and allow our mind to settle into the body, allow our body to settle onto our mat, and feel the body let go and relax here. So we start to soften the areas across the low back, the lumbar spine, around our hip creases, through the legs. Purposeful compression here of our knees. If those fingertips are reaching to those front corners, feel that lengthening and extension through the side bodies. We'll all try to relax the belly, the heart a little further towards the ground. Soften all those little muscles around the face, the mouth, tongue, and jaw. And as we're checking in this morning, we'll take some inventory. Areas that we're healing, taking care of, that you need a little extra TLC this morning. And also the areas of our body and our being that are ready and excited for our practice this morning. Remembering that we practice with that quality of ahimsa, nonviolence towards ourselves and our bodies, and santosha, contentment. So being content wherever we are this morning with ourselves and our bodies. And now let's reconnect to our breath. Just observe and watch the body breathe. On our inhales, natural expansion happens. The body takes in fresh air, prana, and energy. Those exhales are just as important to clean everything out, to let go of stale old air and energy. Feel this breath moving through the whole body, around the torso, the back, the belly. And throughout our practice, unless otherwise designated, we will try to breathe as smoothly and evenly as we can, in and out through the nose. And let's all try to take one more round of breathing here in this pose. We can let this breath grow a little bit bigger. Maybe try to make it our biggest breath of our day yet. So on that next inhale, really taking the time to fill ourselves up all the way to the brim. And when we're completely full, we'll take our time to exhale. And on this exhale, trying to empty every last drop. Squeeze it all out. And then as the next time we breathe into our body, let's start to give it just tiny little movements in the fingertips, the toes back there. Use the strength of your hands and your arms, floating the head up, and then peeling the body back up from the floor. We will move ourselves right into a tabletop position, and we'll give our legs a nice big stretch to get the blood flowing back down through those legs. So stack the hands under the shoulders, spread the fingertips wide, float the head in line with the spine. Knees drop directly underneath those hips. Keep the low back and hips level to the ground and give that right leg a nice big stretch behind you. Ball the foot to the floor, shifting our weight back through that heel. Feel the back and the eye of the knee opening. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale, we'll drop the knee back down. Low back and hips stay level. Give that left leg a big stretch. Breathe into the back of that leg. Shift the weight back as much as you'd like to intensify the stretching. Feel the back of that knee, eye of the knee opening. One more nice deep breath in. And exhale, left knee comes down. Right into some cat-cows. We can keep the top of the feet flat or tuck those toes under if we need to stretch out the soles of the feet. Following the rhythm of our breath, on our inhale, we'll relax the belly. We'll stretch our spine all the way up and forward through the crown of the head, gazing forward. On our exhale, we'll draw the belly in. Scoop that tailbone under. Poof up the back of the heart, draw chin to chest, drishti to the belly button. Find your rhythm. Our extension and flexion for our spine. Try and get a little bit more mobility around the hip joint and all the way up the spine, vertebra by vertebra, between the shoulder blades and into the neck. One more of each, or pausing and holding in one of these. Adding additional little lateral movements or neck and shoulder movements, whatever works for you to wake up that part of our body. And then we'll come back into a neutral position. So do draw that low belly in to support our back. Re-extend the right leg back from the hip. This time we will activate the right glute, hamstring, low back to hover our right leg parallel to the floor. The toes are going to be pointing straight down towards the ground. Going right into some balancing and strengthening. Add the left arm straight from the shoulder, palm and thumb up for our spinal integration here, waking up some of these muscles. Keep the breath even and smooth. Take another inhale. On our exhale, just bring the left hand down, keep the right leg lifted. We'll float the right leg over to our left and back down to the ground. Toes tucked under, pointed, doesn't really matter. Now let's peek over our left shoulder. So some contraction along the left side, stretching the right side. Maybe we can find our foot or heel back there. On our next inhale, we'll bring that head and leg back up. Exhale, bring the right knee down. We'll take a couple cat-cows before we do the other side. Feel free to rise up on your fingertips in Hasta Bandha, or two strong fists if our wrists ever want to take a break. The inhale takes us into our gentle back bending, cow pose. And the exhale rounds the back into flexion, into cat stretch. And then we'll work our way back to a neutral position. Draw the low belly in. Extend the left leg straight back from the hip. Squeeze the left side, left glute, hamstring, low back to hover the left leg parallel to the floor. Toes pointing straight down to the ground. More strength and balance. Right arm extends straight forward from the shoulder, palm in, thumb up. Nice. So if we feel shakiness here, that's totally normal. Those muscles are waking up. Really feel that band of muscles wrapping all the way around the waist. Deep breath in. On the exhale, just the right hand will come down. We'll bring our left leg over to the right and down. Then we'll squeeze our right side, looking over our right shoulder, feeling our whole left side getting a nice stretch. Use those eyes this morning. See how far you can see. Just breathe into it. The next inhale, we'll bring the head and the leg back up. Exhale, the left knee comes down. Inhale, relax the belly, lift the tailbone, extend to the crown of the head, cow pose. Exhale, scoop, tuck, and round into cat stretch. Bringing ourselves back to neutral position, we're going to do one more pose starting from our all fours. This will be our modified side plank or half moon pose. Let's start by taking the top of your left foot and just sliding it out 10 to 15 degrees towards the long edge of the mat. Re-extend that right leg straight back from the hip. This time we're actively going to press through the left hand strong into the floor, pull up to your left side, and we'll start to roll to the right instep of the foot. Now we're going to open the hips and the heart, stacking the hips and the shoulder blades, eventually reaching the right arm straight up towards the ceiling. Be mindful that we keep the neck as a nice long extension of the spine. Try to press out through the knuckles and the left hand so the wrist isn't doing all the work. Those of us that would like a little bit more, squeeze the right side of the body now. Engage those muscles to hover our right leg parallel to the floor. Press into that invisible ledge with the inside of the right ankle, a variation again of side plank or half moon pose. Take a deep breath in. Nice. On the exhale, we're going to unwind out of the pose same way we went into it. We can bring the foot down, look down, take your time to come all the way back down. We'll eventually come back to our tabletop position, so readjust the knees and the feet. Fingertips or fists for wrists. A couple cat-cows before we do the other side. Follow your breath. Good. Let's meet back in a neutral position. We're drawing in through the low belly. Take the top of that right foot, slide it off to the long edge of the mat a few degrees. Re-extend the left leg straight back, ball the foot to the floor. Press strongly through that right arm into the hand. Start contracting the right side of the body. So we're using these muscles to pull it away from the floor instead of sinking towards it. Roll to the left instep, opening the hips and the heart. Stacking the hips and those shoulders. Left arm reaches up. Be mindful where the head is in space. You may look down, forward, or upwards as long as the neck is nice and long. We may choose to stay here or start squeezing and activating the muscles along the left side of the body to hover that left leg parallel to the floor. Toes should be pointing forward. We're going to press the inner ankle into an invisible ledge. Make sure we're nice and active. Still breathing smoothly in and out through the nose. One more big breath in. And on the exhale, unwind. Reverse out of the pose, foot, look down, hand, knees, and feet. Bringing everything back to all fours. And then again, fingertips, fists for wrists at any time. Take a couple cat-cows. Back to our neutral position and tabletop. Hands will walk forward about one hand's distance. Toes will tuck under, draw low belly in, press into the ground to hover the knees and the hips up into maybe our first downward facing dog of our day yet. Adjust your stance as needed. Make sure those fingers are splayed out nice and wide, a lot of space between the fingertips, rooting into the mound of the index finger and thumb. Have a look at your feet. Try to get them as symmetrical as possible, a few inches between those feet. Bend the knees more deeply if we need a little bit more release for the back. And if we have really tight hamstrings, most of us do, especially in the morning, feel free to take your dog for a walk, alternating one heel at a time to the ground, bending the opposite knee. Also enjoying an inversion here as our head is below our heart. So we'll also just be mindful of any blood pressure or heart conditions. And then let's find some stillness here in our pose. Draw the belly in, belly towards the thighs, pressing those thighs towards the back as much as possible. Let the head float between those upper arms for one more breath. Next inhale looks forward, baby stepping our feet to our hands and our hands to our feet. Moving either into a full forward fold, Uttanasana, or supporting the upper body by bending the knees, placing our elbows or our hands on our thighs to take some pressure out of that back. Press those feet into the earth, engage the muscles of the legs, pull up through the pelvic floor muscles into those lower abdominal muscles. Try to release the weight of the head and the arms towards the ground. Take a hold of opposite elbows with the hands if you'd like to ragdoll. Staying in this inversion for just another moment longer. Again, giving the whole back of the body a nice big stretch. And then we'll all micro bend our knees, walk our hands up to our thighs with the fingertips turned in. Draw the chin to the chest, press the feet into the floor, and on the inhale, we'll round up. Rolling up through the spine, one vertebra at a time. And take your time to come up. Make sure you're inhaling from our inversion. Head should be the last thing that comes up. When it does, give your shoulders a little purposeful squeeze up to the ears. And then exhale, shrug those shoulders down. Float the arms softly beside the body. And we'll pause here in Tadasana, setting up our foundation for our standing postures. The feet should still be about hips distance apart, about 2/5 space between there, running parallel to each other. We want to make sure that our knees are unlocked and not jamming backwards. We want to pull up through the front of the quadriceps here into the core, pulling the core into the body, lengthening the upper buttock, tailbone down to the ground. Let's pick up our toes as a nice reminder to also root through the mound of the big toe inner heel, mound of the pinky toe outer heel. So from the navel center down, we're allowing that lower half of our body to really connect to gravity, feeling the pull of gravity, so that we can start to extend and lengthen from that navel center upwards, across the front of the heart, through the vertebra, up the spine. Palms turn forward, spread the fingers as wide as the toes. And just give the head maybe a little turn side to side or an ear drop a couple times to make sure that we're not holding tension in our neck or the muscles of the face. We want to balance the weight of our head on top of the shoulders. And then let's come back to the breath. If the toes are still up, great. You can softly release them down, but don't let go of that connection with the four corners of the feet. On the inhale, we're going to make a nice reach out to the sides of the room and then all the way up to the ceiling. Join those palms together and exhale to the center of our heart. We'll do our palm tree pose like we normally do, but today let's do another variation of it. We have done this in the past. So we'll interweave all 10 fingers, nice strong grip in the hands. We'll flip our palms forward. On the inhale, we'll draw the head of the arm bones beside the ears, and we're going to press our palms up to the ceiling and lift our heels up. Now on the exhale, we still try to lower down nice and slow, heels down.
We'll bend at the elbows. I'm going to bend my knees just so you can see me. And we let the knuckles fall to the crown of the head. So my palms are still facing up to the ceiling. On the inhale, press those palms up, lift the heels up. Keep the belly drawing into the body. Exhale, slow as we can go. Heels down, bend the elbows, knuckles to the head. Let's do 2 more today. One more. Now stay here. On the inhale, reach back up to the ceiling, heels up, but open your hands up. And we're just gonna sway our arms side to side. We're still up on the balls of our feet. We should still be pulling in through those lower bandhas to help with our balance. Again, giving our side bodies a nice big stretch, working those calf muscles. Bring those arms back to center. Take one more big breath in. On the exhale, turn your palms out, float the heels down, float the arms down. And relax the arms. Just let them noodle beside the body. Roll your shoulders, release the neck. So we're going to come into some of our bigger standing postures now. We're going to move back to Utthita Trikonasana, an extended triangle pose, unsupported triangle pose if you want to do a little bit more of the work for our core that we've been focusing on this month, and Ardha Chandrasana half moon pose. So as far as props go, you may want to set up some yoga blocks, starting with their high setting towards the front and back of the mat. For both, maybe your triangle, if you're wanting that additional support, maybe half moon. If you do have a folding chair and you want to use this as support, take it to the right side of the mat, because we'll go towards our right side first. If you don't have these props, don't worry about it. You'll just get that nice strengthening for the core, practicing both unsupported triangle and half moon pose. So once we get set up there, we will turn ourselves so that we are facing the long edge of our yoga mat in the center of our mat. Draw the insides of the feet and legs to touch. We'll float our fingertips to our heart. And on our inhale, we'll take a nice big step out. Feel free to continue to wiggle and step your feet even wider once you get there. Ankles almost as wide as our flexed wrists here. The feet should be running parallel to each other, knees towards the toes. And we want to stay anchored in the 4 corners of the feet. So we have a tendency to either collapse to the inside arch or that outside arch. So see if we can equally ground the feet. Arms are nice and strong. Those invisible ledges, we press into with the palms so that we can activate the muscles along the back of the arm and the side bodies, and the head stays nice and relaxed. Pick up those right toes. At that thigh bone, we're externally rotating that thigh open, keeping the hips and the heart open. Unlock those knees. Draw the right hip crease in towards the body. Now on the inhale, we're going to continue to create this length through the side bodies as we stretch forward. And on the exhale, we may simply windmill our arms into unsupported triangle. Bottom hand, palm faces forward, presses into that thigh, working as a little bit of leverage to roll the heart more open, little spiraling action through the chest, the shoulders, maybe even the neck. If you are using a prop, you can take your block and place it to that inner ankle or calf. But we don't want to lose that connection to our core. So even if your fingertips are to a block, feel that strength grounding down through the legs into the feet, extending upwards through the spine. We may take our drishti down. That's a nice way to make sure our knee is pointing towards the center of the foot. Keep our gaze extended forward. The neck should be nice and long. Or roll our gaze up to the top thumb. Wherever we are, a couple more nice deep breaths. Stay in the body. Hug those muscles to the bone. Feel the whole body in this pose. One more breath. We should also be receiving a nice big stretch up the inner back of that right leg. Our inhale will pull us up out of the pose. So you're going to reach up on your next inhale out of the pose as if someone's pulling you by the fingertips, bringing the body to parallel. On the exhale, relax your arms down for a moment. Give them a break. We are going to move right into half moon pose on the same side. This is a really wide stance to move into our balancing pose. So you may hop your back foot in or step your front foot closer towards you. I like to be a little bit more close together. Your props may come in handy here, or you can try to tip into that unsupported version. The right leg will be doing our supportive work here. So we want to have a bend in the knee so the joint is not stiff. The hips and heart are still trying to stay open. Let's bring our left hand to our hip and not worry about it right now, but we'll reach our right hand back forward like we were in triangle pose. Pull up through the core, shift your weight towards the right, and then press through your right foot to the ground so that leg gets straight and tall. This leg should get a little lighter. I'm gonna run into my sliding doors here, so I'm gonna walk myself back so I have some space here. So I'm pressing that leg down. This side's gonna be just as active. I'm not collapsing, but I'm gonna squeeze now my whole left side, just like I did. I'm not even hinging. I'm just using these muscles, my abductors, to lift that leg up. At that point, once my leg is active and the toes are pointing forward, maybe try that slide down the invisible wall. And if I fall out of it, I fall out of it, come back to it, reassess where I'm at. So you can give yourself this little bit of buoyancy so we don't have to be super stiff in the pose. Now, if you do have that yoga block, it moves out at an angle from that right pinky toe. The fingertips can come towards it, continuing to lean against that invisible wall. Eventually, the left arm might reach up from the shoulder. Be mindful where your head is in space. Whole body working in this pose as well. We're going to try and take one more breath in. On the exhale, as gracefully as we can, we just try to fall back into a little warrior two-ish type pose. More importantly, just so our joints are soft, so we're not landing in a stiff position, but we can be buoyant. Then let's straighten that right leg, turn the toes forward wherever we are, and exhale, relax the arms. Let it go. So nice, big, powerful pose. We'll probably need to rearrange ourselves on our mat, maybe rearrange our props. Do so mindfully. We'll come back to our center or wherever we need to be in our space, insides of the feet and legs touching, fingertips to heart. Inhale, open it back out. So this is a nice wide stance. Triangle, then half moon. Feet parallel, toes point forward. Ground through the four corners in the feet. Pull those kneecaps up through the quads. Pull the belly in, open the heart. Press into that invisible ledge. Let the head and neck be relaxed. Pick up the left toes, spiraling that thigh bone open. Toes and knee point to the front of the mat. Make sure our knees are unlocked. Draw that left hip crease in. The inhale extends the body forward. No rounding of the spine. And the exhale windmills the arms. Unsupported triangle brings that bottom hand to the inside of the thigh, pressing the back of the hand into that thigh. Also to encourage the knee to point more towards the toes. A little spiraling through the heart, into the neck. Think about those muscles wrapping all the way around our waist. If you are bringing a prop into the pose, that's fine. Just don't lose connection through the feet or the legs. And we can bring our gaze down. Knee to toe alignment, straight forward, back of the neck stays long, or upwards towards that top thumb. Couple more breaths, big stretch up the inner back leg of the left leg. One more breath. Now our inhale is what pulls us up. We're gonna have to contract the right side even more. Someone's pulling you up by the fingertips to bring the arms up. Turn those left toes. Oh, no, sorry. Keep your toes forward. Relax just the arms. Can't forget half moon. But let's give our shoulders and arms a break. And then you just kind of step your feet a little bit more closer together. Left toes should still be pointing to the top of the mat. You might need to readjust yourself in your pops. Bend into that left knee a little bit. We'll bring our right hand to our hip, not worry about it. Re-extend the left arm forward. Tighten up the muscles around our waistline. Press that foot into the earth. Straighten it up. So as it pushes down, we shift our weight to our left. This side should get a little lighter. And then you can just start playing with activating those muscles to lift and lower. This is half. The challenge here is just to really tighten up through the side body using your abductors to lift and flexing that foot. Once you get that leg up, you may begin to slide down our invisible wall. You may hover the fingertips from the floor and unsupported. If we fall out, totally fine, just fall softly. If you are using a block, it'll be often a diagonal from the pinky toe. We want to be underneath the shoulder. Right toes point forward, invisible ledge with that ankle. Side body's long, right arm might eventually extend upwards. Keep the neck an extension of the spine. You may look down, forward, or try to look up. That's even harder. Keep breathing. At least I think it is. Good. Nice. Ardha Chandrasana, half moons. Take one more big breath in. On our exhale, you're going to bend into your left knee slightly. Let the body fall back into a soft landing and something like a warrior two pose. Just as long as we land softly. Straighten the left leg. Turn the toes forward. And exhale, drop the arms, let it go. And then we can just heel toe or step our feet back together and rearrange our space. So if you do have props there, carefully place them out of the way. We are eventually going to bring ourselves back to the top of our mat into mountain pose. So we'll parallel our feet, point those toes forward. Unlock those knees, draw up through the front of the thighs. Pull that belly in, lengthen the tailbone down. Arms float beside the torso. Turn the palms forward, spread the fingers, float the head. On the next inhale, let's reach out nice and wide, all the way up to the ceiling, big stretch. Drishti up to those thumbs for a gentle back bend. On the exhale, micro bend those knees, hinge from the hips, swan diving our arms back around and down to whatever your forward fold looks like today. You might start off in a more modified version. We'll hang out here for another moment just to give that back a stretch in the backs of the legs. And our next inhale, we'll take our halfway lift. Hands to shins or higher. Squeeze the upper back, try to level it out. Nice. Now we'll bend our knees deeply, place our hands to the ground, and we're stepping it all the way back for our planks today. Modified, you may choose to do a forearm plank if that's easier for your wrists, no problem. You may choose to do a kneeling plank on the knees. Just make sure you're tightening up the belly even more so that the weight of the hips is not collapsing to the ground. Press the hands into the earth, slightly poof up the back of the heart. Extend the crown of the head forward, keeping our drishti slightly forward. We're going to try to hold for about 30 seconds. We're almost halfway there already. Keep breathing. Tighten up the glutes, compact the hips, smile. For just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, float those hips up to the ceiling. And then exhale, shift the weight down the backs of the legs, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And just observe how we feel. Do planks make us feel things? If they do, we do not label them good or bad. Notice the breath and the body. So we are going to go for our side planks today. Remember, the modification would be to come back down to those knees. We'll start by moving to our right side. So you would kickstand the top of the right foot out, extend your left leg out and be in your supported version here or with the leg lifted. If you'd like to try the full side plank or Vasisthasana, come back to plank position, hover the hips between the heels and the shoulders. Bring the insides of the legs and feet to touch. Then we roll onto the lateral edge of our right foot. Pull your right side up away from the floor, reaching the left hand up to the ceiling. Some people like to place their top foot in front of their bottom foot or stack the feet completely. You may also try to lift your left leg up. For 3, 2, 1. Exhale, roll out of it. You may bring your knees back down to the ground, modifying the other side, left knee down, foot out, and then rolling to your left side. Or from full plank, bringing the insides of the feet and legs together, stack the hips and the shoulders, pull your left side up away from the floor. Try not to collapse the head. Hold and breathe for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, come back down and find your resting pose. So back to downward facing dog, tabletop, or even a child's pose. One more breath, smooth and even it out. And then down dog, people, let's inhale, lift our heels up as high as we can. Exhale, drop the knees back down, point the toes. Moving back to child's pose. Sliding the hands back to the feet, turning the palms up to let go of that pressure that was on our wrists. Pump your fingertips a couple times. And then try to melt the head and the arms back down to the ground. Hands under the shoulders, tuck the chin. Inhale, let's round it up. So we are going to try to sit back on our heels here in a hero's pose. This seated pose isn't for everybody. However, if it's okay on your knees, this is actually a really nice way, especially people like myself that are very internally rotated, and it's very challenging to sit in a cross-legged position or lotus position to keep the spine upright. We're already elevating our sit bones a little bit by sitting back on the heels. Options, take 1 or 2 yoga blocks between the feet back there to sit up on. That's also a nice way to modify this pose. If this isn't going to happen for you today or tomorrow or ever, don't worry about it. You may move yourself with your legs back out in front of you into a cross-legged position. So I'm using my block today. It feels nice. I'm still trying to bring my knees closely together. So we will sit here for some time and go into our pranayama practice. So if you do need to adjust, feel free to do so. We've been practicing Kapla Bhatti breathing, which is a focused, strong exhale. We don't worry about sucking air into our body because we are contracting the muscles so strongly on our exhale that when they relax, it works like a vacuum to sip a little bit of air into the body. So this is all about exhaling and contracting the abdominal muscles inward. So you should feel like a snapping action in the belly every time you exhale out through the nose. We're all going to move at a different pace, and you want to try to move at a pace that you can keep your rhythm. So generally you might start out more slowly, and then you can build up to a much quicker pace where you're exhale, 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 exhale. But if your body gets confused, you get any severe cramping or discomfort, you need to back off. This is a pretty powerful breath. It's a cleansing breath, stimulating breath. It does activate the abdominal muscles, strengthens them, stimulates our digestive system, internal organs. It translates to shining skull breath, so it's a very clarifying breath as well. And it can also expel blockages in the sinuses. The variation that I am guiding us through is an exhale through the nose, though there are lots of other variations of this. So for in hero's pose, we'll just rest our palms down on our thighs. If you've chosen a cross-legged position, you may come into chin mudra with the palms turned up. Most importantly, we want to be able to sit up tall with our neutral curves in the back. We want to have our belly that's nice and relaxed. We don't need tight waistbands around our abdomen. It might help to place a hand on the belly at first as you're getting used to these exhales. If you have any hernias, ulcers, or abdominal cramping, this breath is not for you. Instead, you may sit here and practice your abdominal breathing or yogic breathing, which is belly expanding on the inhale and a gentle contraction on the exhale, drawing navel to spine. We'll do 3 rounds today. We started out with 1 round. We did 2 rounds the last couple of classes. So now we're moving up to 3 rounds. Again, anytime you feel any discomfort, take a break. You will feel this in the muscles. And they're going to be timed rounds, so I'm not going to count, say we're going to do so many exhales, again, because we might be moving at different paces with our body. Sit up tall, close the eyes if you like. To begin, take a breath in through the nose. Exhale back out. And start at the bottom of that exhale. So exhale, 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 contract, contract, contract. Find your rhythm and pace. You should feel a strong snapping in of the belly on each exhale. Do not try to suck air in. It will happen on its own. Halfway there. There shouldn't be a lot of movement in the shoulders or the chest. Maybe just a tiny bit of vibration in that area. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Then let go of any control over the breath. Eyes remain closed. Focus the mind's eye at the navel center. Relax the face completely. Simply observe. When the breath comes back to a nice, soft, easy rhythm, we'll go for round 2. Adjust the posture as needed. Sit up as tall as possible through the crown of the head. Again, the face should stay fairly relaxed. Don't tense up the mouth, the jaw, or the throat. Shoulders shouldn't be moving here. It's all the focus at the belly and the abdominal muscles. Take a deep breath in through the nose. Exhale back out. And begin at the bottom of your exhale. Contract, contract, contract. Belly snaps in every exhale. Halfway. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale. Relax. Try to avoid any necessary fidgeting. Keep the body very still. Concentrate the mind in the abdominal area around the navel center. Sit up tall. Face stays relaxed. Second round. Inhale through the nose. Exhale back out. Begin at the bottom of the exhale. If you want to try to add Mula Bandha contraction with this breath, you may, pulling in and up through the pelvic floor with each exhale, or gently trying to hold it in and up the entirety of the time. Halfway. Five, four, three, two, one. Exhale. Relax. Let go of any control of the breath. Relax the belly. Mind is settled at the navel center. And we may passively observe any sensations or feelings that arise from this breath. And we observe them without judgment and without attachment. Once the breath is returned to an easy, natural rhythm and the abdomen is relaxed, we need to stretch out the legs. We can softly float the eyelids back open, bringing our awareness back to our surroundings. If you are in a different seated position from Hero's Pose, feel free to stretch your legs out in front of you. From Hero's Pose, walk the hands forward from the body. Weight into the hands. Go ahead and stretch the legs out. Single leg stretching, one leg at a time. We let the eye of the knees open. Just move side to side. Once the blood is flowing back down through the legs, feel free to draw the belly in, float those hips one last time up into down dog to continue to stretch out the backs of the legs. And then we'll meet back down on the ground, shifting our weight over to either hip, walking our feet out in front of us. So it is time to start working our way down onto our back. Safest option is to come to one side and use the support of your arms to work yourself down and then roll onto your back. If you're not choosing I'm going to guide us through our roll down and roll ups today to do a little bit more work here. If that's not for you, no problem. Once you're on your back, feel free to do a happy baby, some spinal twisting, maybe some bridge lifts, whatever you feel like it is that your body would like today. If you'd like to join me in the rolling down and rolling ups, this is articulation of the spine. So there's some rounding through the back, a strong contraction of our abdominal muscles. You bring the soles of the feet to the ground, insides of the feet touch, but we let the knees open wider than our hips. We may simply stretch our fingertips forward. If we have a yoga block or a heavier book, that's sometimes a nice way to
maintain our alignment and give ourselves a little bit more structure, we can add this. Now you may get to a point that you don't do all of the roll downs and it's a little much. So at that point, you can just stay down on your back if you don't want to go through the whole series. We start out small and then we build until we're doing a full one. So pull the belly in strongly. Take a breath in. On the exhale, try to lean back just slightly onto that sacrum. And then the inhale pulls us up. And you're extending your hands forward the whole time. This will help. Exhale. We're going to go a little bit further this time into the sacrum and try to touch some of the lumbar. And then we'll inhale and pull ourselves up. Exhale, pull the belly in. We're rounding. Sacrum, low back, mid back. Inhale. That's the hard part, pulling our body up. Exhale, belly in. Low back, mid back, shoulders. Inhale, we gotta roll everything back up. Good, nice choices, you guys. I like it. We're all doing something a little differently. If you're still with me, we're gonna take it down all the way through the vertebra, the shoulders to the back of the head, and then peel everything back up. And then those of us still rolling down, this is our last one. Just go as slowly as possible. Once everything is touched down, the shoulders, the back of the head, stretch the arms overhead. You can set the prop down there. We'll stretch our legs out and we'll meet here on our long body stretch. Flex the feet, spread the fingers and toes, let the low back gently arch from the floor. We'll feel a stretch through the abdominal muscles. On the exhale, arms will float down, draw the shoulder blades under. Let's walk our feet in. Pull the belly in to hug our knees in and do a rock here side to side. Dropping the feet back to the floor, feet parallel to each other. If that block is overhead, reach back for it. We're going to do some of our bridge work. So this will tone and strengthen the back of the body now, that's just as important for our core stability. And it will stretch these abdominal muscles that we've been working a little bit more today. So make sure your shoulders are under, arms down beside the body, feet parallel. We may be able to tickle the backs of the heels. Those of us with the yoga block between our inner thighs, give it a squeeze. If there's no prop there, just to make sure your knees stay in line with the hip socket to the toes. Now squeeze your glutes, your hamstrings, and on the inhale, we're gonna lift our hips up. And we're holding Setu Bandhasan today. The neck should be in its natural curve away from the floor. Weight moves into the shoulders. Press your feet into the ground. Tighten up the buttocks. You may reach for the ankles, or you may continue to walk the shoulders under, left, right, interweaving all 10 fingers underneath the body, pressing the arms into the ground. Some of us, chest will move towards the chin. That's fine. Into a inversion here. Bellies reaching upwards, opening the front of the hips. The more we can activate our hamstrings and glutes, the more we'll be able to stretch and open the front of the body. Feel the breath. Holding and breathing for 3, 2, 1. Take a nice deep breath in. On the exhale, release your grip if you have it. We can roll down to the back or lower the sacrum down first. Once the back is to the ground, take the prop out. Just rock the knees side to side here. Let's draw the belly in to hug the knees in. Taking a spinal twist to continue to help release the muscles down the back and around the abdomen. Stretch the arms up from the shoulders like airplane wings. On the exhale, take the knees to the right. Add support under that bottom thigh as needed. Top hand rests on the top thigh to encourage a deeper twist. Sink the left shoulder back down into the ground. Turn the head to the left. Closing the eyes, slow the breathing down as we come to the end of our practice.
Our next inhale will float the head and the knees back to neutral. Feel free to readjust the low back if needed. Exhale, knees will fall to the left. Add support. Top hand to top thigh to help deepen the twist. Right shoulder sinks into the ground, head turns to the right. Relax the face, the throat, and the shoulders. Surrender the weight of the body to gravity. Gravity is our friend once we learn how to work with it. And then next inhale, head and knees float back to center. Readjust if needed. If you feel like we need one more little movement or posture before final relaxation, feel free to do that. Maybe just stretching the legs up to the ceiling, a happy baby, Baddha Konasana, whatever it might be. And then once we're ready to start moving into final relaxation, feel free to add as many props, blankets, eye coverings, whatever you might have in your possession to help support the body and relax the body. Adjust all of your surroundings. Loosen up the clothing. Readjust the shoulders. Let those arm bones roll open, palms up to the ceiling, fingertips curling up naturally. Knees may stay bent or with a pillow underneath the knees, or open the feet maybe a little wider, allowing the feet to flap open. Rock out the head, finding the very back center of the skull. Poof the cheeks, swallow a couple times, releasing the muscles around the mouth, the root of the tongue, and the lower jaw. Once again, surrender the weight of the body to gravity, relaxing all the muscles. Soften the abdomen. Notice a subtle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. And allow that breath to become easy, quiet, and calm. And as we continue to move into a relaxation today, I'm going to share another portion of the book I've been referring to, Awakening the Spine by Vonda Scarabelli. She says, what do we mean by relaxation? To relax is not to collapse, but simply to undo tension. This tension has been accumulated in the body and in the mind for years. Tension is the result of will, effort, and prejudice. We have been trained during the first part of our lives to struggle to achieve. Now we have to work in the opposite direction by letting go, giving place to a different action, if we can even call it action, an undoing action. The body in itself is healthy. If one can avoid going in this direction of doing, a positive attitude will take over, and the body will then be able to start its recuperating function, its natural way of existing. There is nothing to be done. It is not a state of passivity,
but on the contrary, of alert watchfulness. It is perhaps the most active of our attitudes, going with and not against our body and feelings. There is beauty in the acceptance of what is. Let's slowly come back to our natural breath and start to breathe life back into the body, waking up the toes, the fingertips. Rock the head side to side, roll ankles and wrists. Next inhale stretches the arms overhead into the long body stretch. Spreading fingers, flexing the feet, spreading the toes, stretching out the right side. Stretching and lengthening out our left side. Take one more big breath in. On the exhale, float the arms down, step the feet in. Draw the belly in to hug the knees in. Rocking side to side across the low back. Right arm falls beside the head. We roll onto our right side and sleeping baby pose. Cradle, lean the head on the arm, hand to the floor in front of the heart, pausing here. Keeping those eyes soft or closed, using the strength of the arms, press into the ground, bringing the body up, where we will come into any comfortable seated position. Finding our sit bones and cross-legged position. We'll set up tall for the crown of the head. Bringing our hands back into chin mudra, index finger to thumb, other three fingers extended, resting the palms up towards the ceiling. Float the head on top of the shoulders. Let the face be completely relaxed. Feel the weight of the shoulders and elbows falling away from the ears.
Feel the weight of the hands on the knees. Feel the connection between the legs and each other, and all the contact points with the lower half of our body and the props and ground below. Allow the lower half of the body to be connected and supported by the ground below. And as the lower half of the body roots itself into the earth, the upper half of the body can grow taller. Create space between the vertebra of the spine. Lengthen and stretch the spine upwards towards the sky. So we'll go into our finishing mantras, Om Pranamada, Om Shanti. Feel free to join in. Otherwise, just continue to sit with the body and the breath for another moment this morning. To begin, we'll take a deep breath in through the nose. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Tat Sat. And then being mindful of our surroundings, let's re-extend the arms out beside the body, palms up. Another nice breath in through the nose. Let's float those arms all the way back up overhead and gather up everything we need for the rest of our day. Turning those palms out, big breath out. Float the fingertips all the way back down to the ground and let go of all that other junk we don't need today. One more time, inhaling, arms up. Bring the palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Humbly bow the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and anyone else that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together today. And I thank you all so very much for your dedication to your practice, for supporting each other and your community, for all of your patience and being here. It is encouraging to all of us when we come together to continue our practice, even on mornings where we really just want to sleep in. It's so important to do our preventative. Thank you, Chaya. So nice to see you as usual. Thanks for being here. So
Thank you, Joanne. We'll see you on Wednesday.